How can schools fail to make a good impact on juveniles? Schools today focus more on punitive measures rather than focusing on behavioral modifications. We are told that the public school system is designed to give each student an equal opportunity of an education and later life success. But is that really the truth? Let's start with school funding. Did you know the lower the funding, the lower the quality of an education and resources a student receives? Meaning, the funding comes from property taxes. So if you live in affluent areas where funding is high, you'll have a good education compared to if you live in a low income area, you will end up with a poorly funded school. If we can increase funding, it can raise graduation rates. Low income students will benefit from it. It will lower student teacher ratios, longer school years, and potentially increase teachers' pay. Because of lower school funding, student to teacher ratios are up. This gives less time for one-on-one interventions. If a student is acting up, it's straight to the principal's office. We have focused on giving detentions, ISS, being expelled, or even going to alternative school. When will there be early interventions put in place to find the root cause of juvenile deviance within the school system? Let's talk about the impacts that can have a negative effect on juveniles. Number one, let's start with the teacher impact. School bonds. It is important that students have a good social bond with the teacher. The social bonds will impact their commitment to having good grades and also showing up for school, which later down the line leads to truancy. In the school system, we have labeling. In high school, we are given standardized tests that test to see where a student is on an intellectual level. Kids who do poorly are labeled as dumb or lacking intelligence, and that label negatively affects a student's confidence, which is also known as tracking. Tracking sets up students for failure. It can have an impact on the student's commitment to getting good grades and also showing up for school as well. The strain that comes from labeling, students feel like they are blocked from opportunities that are given to other students who do better. Second impact on a juvenile is home life. A lot of times, signs of abuse go unrecognized. Sexual, emotional, physical, and neglect. Neglect is the most common form of child maltreatment and can lead to death. The way we can recognize physical abuse is by noticing bruises, injuries to the child. Hopefully, it can be caught before potential death. Next is emotional abuse, which is harder to detect rather than physical abuse. What we can pay attention to is the child's personality or confidence. We can watch how the child performs and socializes with peers, and we can recognize emotional abuse by having a conversation with the child. Sexual abuse can be hard to recognize, especially if the child doesn't come forward. It can go undetected for as long as they live. So what can we do to eliminate it is educate them about what is sexual abuse, and hopefully it would help a child come forward because they know it shouldn't be happening to them. So in my opinion, that's a big impact on sometimes while we have juvenile deviance in the school system is home life. Next one is bullying. Bullying can create adverse childhood experience. It can lead to truancy. It can lead to school dropout. Usually bullying is based on sexual orientation or gender identity. Bullying can be about race/ethnicity. The bully is acting in a socially unacceptable way that may escalate to delinquency and is frequently linked to previous types of delinquency that the bully has displayed. The impact on the victim, they may experience trauma, which may result in violent acts, delinquent behavior, or even suicide. In today's world, bullying, in my opinion, has gone unnoticed. Um, Kids who do report it, I feel like they're more than likely silenced and nothing is done about it. So, those are my impressions of why the school system fails to make a good impact on juveniles.